trying to make me cry in front of everybody, man.
Yeah, that's the point.
One word of advice. Buy TV, don't spend it on Hooker.
SuperRus. I'm the last character on my Justice League team with these four babes.
Oh, what the hell?
Yeah, I'm the Tower of Power, too sweet to be sour. SuperRus 9000, dig it! And I'm joined by the man with the 24-inch pythons, Mr. Lickworthy himself, SimpleSimon. Yeah,
Jesus Christ, how long were you practicing that for?
that's all I got.
Wow, that was impressive. I didn't expect that one. That was
Had
good.
to bust that out.
Wow, way. I'm gonna have to clip that for sure.
I've been working on that one. In case you guys haven't guessed it, tonight's show is about wrestling back in the day and maybe some current stuff. But we're going to talk WWE, maybe AEW. I don't know.
I don't know much about AEW, but yeah, my wrestling days are long over. But there definitely was a little point in time where I was obsessed with some wrestling.
Yeah. What's up, Tricky Trapster? What's going on, Kavi?
Yeah, Russ rehearsed that in the shower for a week.
I was a huge Randy Savage fan back in the day.
Yeah, so back in those early days, I did love it. Obviously, I was real young back then, but I don't remember the stuff as much. I went back and watched some of it when I obviously got really into it. But like I still remember like little moments, like being a kid watching it with my older brothers, and like Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant, and then when Ultimate Warrior came along, my ringtone for my phone is the Ultimate Warrior theme song.
That's awesome, man.
So, but did you? So I was going to ask you, like, because I know you still love it, right?
Yeah.
Have you always loved it from the kid all the way through, or did you have a break, kind of like comics? You know, a lot of people in comic books, they were into it as a kid, and then they had that long break, and then they got back into it. Or have you just been into it from the very start?
I've pretty much stuck with it the whole time, except for like breaks here and there where I'd like wouldn't have cable TV or something.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. With me, I didn't have access to it. So back in the earlier days, in the Hogan days, I don't even know how my brothers got it. I don't know if it was on TV back then or what. But then I had no access to it. And, you know, you grow up and you find out wrestling's fake. So I just lost interest.
Yeah. It just, I don't know. I never lost interest even when I found out. It was like, yeah. I was like, I want to say 17 when I finally realized it was all like predetermined, but I still kept watching, man. I love the characters, love the athleticism of it, the moves.
Yeah, so I definitely got to a point where I was like, I'm not interested because it's fake, right? Because I'm getting older. And then I remember, so, hey, Tony. So Tony mentions WCW, right? So I remember a lot of kids in school were into it. So this would have been maybe when I was 16, 17 even. No, probably 16, I'd say. Or even 15, whatever. People were talking about WCW, and like you had people who were more WCW guys, and they had other people who were WWF guys. And then one day on free-to-air TV, they played, it was Survivor Series, right? And it was like a tournament, a one-night tournament, and the winner became the champ, like got the belt. And that was the first time I'd watched it since I was a kid. And it was so good, man. It had like Stone Cold, it had like The Rock, Mankind. I think Mankind won in the end, and he screwed over The Rock or something like that. But that was the first time I sort of watched it again, and I was like, "This is awesome!" I couldn't believe how good it was.
It's funny. I was 11 when I started watching it, and it was just like a happenstance thing. I was in the house. I think I was at my uncle's house, and he was flipping channels, and he watched wrestling. And the first match I saw come on was Sting versus Ric Flair for the WCW Championship. And I was like hooked from the start. I was Sting mostly, just the character, the face paint. I thought it was so freaking
And that
cool,
was
man.
his actual, like, his crow kind of pet face paint. Because before that, he looked like.
Yeah, he was
Oh, yeah.
Surfer Sting then, back in
So,
'91.
so that's the Sting you're talking
Yeah,
about?
he had the blonde hair,
Yeah.
the colorful face paint. And I thought that dude is freaking awesome. And that match just hooked me on wrestling. I've been a fan ever since.
Wow, you even remember your first one. You know, I definitely remember the times when, like in the 80s, like in the Hogan days and Andre the Giant and stuff. But yeah, I can't really remember it so clearly.
I went back and I watched a lot of the older stuff after that. But for the first, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years, I was just all about WCW. And that was, I was probably maybe 15 when I found WWE and started watching those guys like Stone Cold, Undertaker, The Rock, Kane, and that just like opened me up to a whole new like world of wrestling.
Actually, now that I think about it, because I remember WCW used to play on this. There was a sports show here on the weekend, and they used to play just like a small segment of WCW. And I can't actually remember. That might have been. I can't remember if that was after I got into wrestling or before. And I kind of was still fascinated. Like they showed, like, they didn't have Royal Rumble at WCW, did they?
No, they had
Have a similar
what
thing?
was it called? Because they all tried to copy each other.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of the event, but they did like a this crazy where they put 3 rings together and had like this huge like 90-man battle royal
Yeah.
over the top rope.
I feel like
So
I've
they
seen
tried
that.
to like take the Rumble and like maximize it by 3, but there was like so much going on you couldn't
Yeah.
never catch who was getting eliminated, who was still in it.
The Royal Rumble was my favorite thing to watch, though, because even after I lost interest in wrestling again, I would still be happy to watch the Royal Rumble. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like it's always fun to watch that.
But man, it was I remember in I believe it was '96 when the NWO first came in. And at that time I still thought wrestling was dead real. I took it
Jesus.
so serious. And Hulk Hogan come out, and I thought, yes, the Hulkster, man, he's gonna kill these like NWO punks, man. Who's this Scott and Hall? Get out of here, man. Nash, Hogan's gonna kill y'all. And then he dropped the leg on Randy Savage, and my whole world just felt like it collapsed on itself. I was so mad, man. I couldn't believe Hogan went bad. I ripped off my Hogan shirt. I threw it on the ground. I spit on it. I threw it in the trash.
Yeah, I think I remember you telling me that.
It was like, and I was like 16.
What, in the 90s? Like, really? And you still thought it was real?
Yeah,
That's crazy.
man. It was like I wanted to be a wrestler. That was like my passion for so long, man. I would watch the tapes. I would get the old tapes, watch the newer stuff, study the moves, especially the submission moves.
Yeah.
But and you know, when like at that time I was getting bullied a lot in school and stuff. And so, you know, as a kid, you don't know that these guys aren't really killing each other in the ring. So this one kid come up and started pushing me.
You body slammed him?
No, I put him in a I smacked him down to the ground and I put him in a submission hold like the crippler crossface and just started cranking back as hard as I could, and he was crying. And that was when I was told I can't be a wrestler. As a kid.
Who's the bully now, SuperRus?
But I was like at the end of my limit, man. And I was just like, I'm gonna hit this mofo with the crossface.
That's funny, man. That's funny.
And I was cranking it in so hard. And
I remember because my brothers are all heaps older than me, but I remember back in the 80s when I was still a little kid, they'd always like pick me up and like do crazy wrestling moves and just throw me down onto the mattress and stuff like that. It's always good fun. but yeah, like so Stone Cold I think was probably the character that got me. I was like, oh, this dude's badass, right? So that's what really got me into it. And then I remember the only way I could watch it, because again, you could only watch it if you had cable, and I didn't have cable. So my brothers used to tape it for me onto a VHS tape.
Oh yeah.
Send it to me every like week or two when they'd see me, because I didn't live with my brothers or anything like that. So yeah, and that's when I remember like Stone Cold was kind of like my favorite, but he was kind of like everyone's favorite. You know what I mean? So I was always that guy. I don't want to be like everyone else, right? So even though Stone Cold was one of my favorites, I always had to have the other guy that wasn't as well known, and that was Edge. Edge was my boy.
Edge was the man.
Back when he was in the Brood,
Yeah.
and there was the Ministry of Darkness with Undertaker and all that sort of stuff.
Come out with Gangrel with the vampire gimmick. That was so cool, man. With the flames like on the stage, and they would like raise up out of the center.
He just looked like that 80s rock star, you know what I mean? Which
Yeah.
I was all about. But he wasn't even that good. So by the time Edge became a big name in the company, I'd already lost interest, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I saw obviously he
Go
became
ahead.
the rated R superstar.
Yeah.
But in the early days, like when he was having like they had the Edge and Christian, Hardy Boys, and Dudley Boys, like that was my jam. That was my era of what I was.
They like they took the ladder matches to the next level, man.
Oh, dude, I used to watch those
unreal.
over and over. Jeff Hardy doing the Swanton Bomb.
Yeah, I remember when Edge hit the spear, like Jeff was hanging from the title. Yeah, and Edge just jumped off a freaking ladder and speared him out of the air. So good, man.
Yeah, they were it was funny because when I moved houses, like I always come across stuff like, you know, stuff you've got just packed away in boxes for years, and had all these VHS tapes, and there was one tape and it had a label on it saying the best tape ever, and I had no idea what it was. I was like, what is on this tape? I need to know what's on this best tape ever. And it was just a compilation of wrestling, my favorite wrestling matches. I remember like going to the video store and borrowing like all of the tapes and just like recording my favorite matches onto another tape.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, I should go through it, man. There's some classics on there.
I know I used to go to the video store. I think it was called Shows to Go. And they had like all the old pay-per-views on VHS. So I would like, that's how I saw like all the older stuff, like WrestleMania 1, 2, 3, like all the classics. They would always get them.
Yeah. So, what was I going to say? Yeah, all the VHS. So the video store I went to, you could hire like 5 weekly movies, right, for $10. So it's five weekly for the week. But during that week, you could actually bring them back and swap them. It was the only video store I knew that did that. So in most video stores, you borrow them for a week and you just bring them back in a week. But this one, you can actually keep coming back throughout the whole week and keep exchanging them. So in like 1 week, you could technically watch like 35 of those WWE tapes. So yeah, I smashed through them. I used to
That's
watch
pretty
them
cool, man.
That's how I actually ended up kind of losing interest as well, because I ended up, once I watched all the wrestling, they had all the UFC stuff, like the very early UFC stuff, and that's how I first started watching UFC, and just on all the VHS. And I watched all those as well. But yeah, the wrestling was. See, to me, the wrestling when I used to watch it, I still used to think a lot of it was very slow. So I kind of understood if you weren't into wrestling, you know, like I understood why it didn't appeal to everyone.
Yeah.
So I'd always try to find those matches which were more fast paced and that you could show anyone, but this is the match you got to watch to get into, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Like those TLC matches, how can you not?
Oh, I know it, man. It's like everybody had their like different styles. You had like the more technical guys like Bret Hart. And then later on you had the faster dudes like Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio. They just took it to another level, man.
Yeah, I love
it.
Did you
are you up on any current wrestling at all?
Not really. If I know anything, it's probably because I've heard like Mark at the shop, he's into wrestling. So sometimes his customers come in and they start going on wrestling. I know about the AEW stuff. I know a lot of MMA fighters, like UFC, ex-UFC fighters have come across into it.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
But Rey Mysterio, he's still wrestling. But he's his son is wrestling now too, and they've actually tag teamed a few times.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So who from WWE is on the AEW roster? I know Jericho is, yeah.
Yeah, Jericho jumped over to AEW. Daniel Bryan, I don't know if you know him. He's AEW now.
I know. I heard Mark talking about that guy.
Yeah.
I don't know who.
Oh,
he is.
he's good, man. He's killer. One of the best like current wrestlers out there. Bray Wyatt, you probably don't know him. But,
yeah, I know him, the Fiend. I
yeah,
interviewed a
yeah.
cosplayer who dresses
But
up as him.
rumor has it he's going to show up in AEW soon because he left WWE a while ago. God, who else? There's so many, man. They recently let go of Keith Lee, and he's like an incredible. He's a big dude, but he can do like the like little guy athletic stuff. He's amazing. And they recently fired him for some reason. So I'm sure he'll show up in AEW.
That's why I remember Brock Lesnar. Right? So when I used to watch it, I was obsessed that I'd go watch not just WWE, you'd watch all the small promotions, the foreign promotions, and all that sort of stuff. But I remember, so there was this tape circulating of Brock Lesnar, of him doing a shooting star. That's like a front, right? And that was going like everywhere. So everyone knew he could do it, but he'd never done it in the WWE. So then there was that match where it was kind of like his time to get the belt, and it was him versus Kurt Angle.
Yep.
And he climbs up onto the thing. And I was watching this. So back then, there was something going on with like there was no WWE stopped doing pay-per-views. I don't know if it was just here or what, but you had to go to the cinemas to watch the pay-per-views and pay the cinemas. Yeah, it was weird. It only happened for about a few months. For some reason, it wasn't on pay-per-view here anymore. Huh. There was some kind of deal that went wrong or something. So I saw this at the cinemas, and I can't remember if it was a WrestleMania or what, but yeah, Brock Lesnar climbs up on the ropes and I was like, he's going to do it. He's going to do the shooting star. And I was like, Kurt Angle is so far away from him right now. He was like 3/4 of the ring away. And then Lesnar did that thing and landed on his head. And I was like, oh my God.
If I remember right, that was WrestleMania 19.
Probably.
Yeah.
Was it 19? It wasn't 20, was it?
No, 20, he had the match with Goldberg. And that's when he left the WWE for like
that was a stinker.
10 years or something.
So bad. That's the thing, man.
Terrible.
See, all the WCW fans, they were telling me, oh, Goldberg. And I didn't really know anything about Goldberg because I didn't really get a chance to watch him. And then when it finally did, I was like, okay, so he destroys everyone in like 30 seconds, right? And then, but really, he doesn't have many moves and he's not very good or entertaining to watch. So that was interesting to have.
Like, I saw his entire run from like his start up until when WCW got bought out and he finally showed up in WWE. And it was like so overrated, man. He didn't really have any like in-ring skill. So his matches were all just like quick squash matches. He did have like a few in like later on he had some pretty good matches, man, that turned out kind of impressive. But whenever he would try to do like different moves other than his normal 5, he would usually botch them.
But yeah, so when they did that, the WCW invasion thing and ECW as well, that was massive, man. That was such a big deal.
Yeah, that was actually like the first time I got into ECW because I hadn't really heard of them.
Yeah,
I was just all WCW and WWF at the time. And I found out when the whole invasion started. So I went back and I started watching like older ECW stuff too.
I found out about them from, there was that documentary, Beyond the Mat. You never saw that?
Yeah. Yep.
Yes,
I saw that.
Sure that's how I found out about ECW.
Yeah. But the invasion was like my first like exposure to them. But they were like so much, like the older tapes I went back and watched were so much better than the WWE reboot they tried to do.
Oh yeah, because it was like a real independent thing.
WWE watered them down a lot, but they still had some good matches. Yeah.
But they could drop F-bombs and stuff like that on ECW. I mean, that's never going to happen in EC. You know how they used to have the T-shirt? It was ECFNW.
Yeah. But that's where I found out about guys like RVD and Sabu and Sandman. Yeah, RVD, man.
Sabu, I forgot about him.
Yeah, Sabu, he was nuts, man.
He
The
was cool.
stuff that he would just do in the ring was
So
crazy.
before we started, I was telling you how I was trying to find it. I couldn't find it. I had an old Smackdown game and it was signed by Rob Van Dam.
That's awesome, man.
Because I used to go to all the fan expos and stuff when they used to come down here. So the first one I went to was the best, man. I met Jericho and I met Brock Lesnar. Like
Oh,
I
that's
didn't
killer,
really get Brock
dude.
Lesnar. Like I got them to sign this piece of paper. Jericho, I'm like, I get all fanboy and nervous, so I'm like, what do I say? I was like, what do you think of Melbourne? And Jericho's just like, it's pretty good so far. And then I got to Brock. And him to sign. He's not even looking at me. He's talking to some lady. And then like he's just like signing it while still talking to her and then just like handing it back to me. I was like, okay. But yeah,
I got
and then
to meet
RVD and Victoria, I think her name was.
Oh yeah, I remember her. I got to meet Jeff Hardy once. That was cool. I got a signed. I should have got it out, man, but I got a signed picture of Jeff Hardy.
That's sick. I love Jeff Hardy.
Yeah, I met him. God, it's been a while ago now. This is back when he was with TNA. It was him, Madison Rain, and SoCal Val. They were all doing a signing in Pensacola, Florida, and just so happened that was the same week I was there doing a construction job with my brother. We just like stumbled onto it after lunch. We saw all these people standing in line. We're like, what's going on? So we checked it out and we saw Jeff Hardy in there, and I was like, oh my God.
Jeff Hardy could have been my favorite, but I was too loyal to Edge. Like I love Jeff Hardy so much, but like, yes, I've liked Edge from the beginning before he was, anybody. Even though I was like, Jeff Hardy's so much cooler than Edge. Like his wrestling moves, like the stuff that you do, just bouncing off the ropes and stuff. Oh man, so good.
I remember a match he had where he climbed up on like the Titantron, the big screen, and like did the swanton like 30 feet in the air.
Insane.
Wow,
what about bloody Shane McMahon? He used to do some crazy stuff.
Oh yeah, Shane was nuts, man. He would do like crazy elbow drops off the scaffold and
man.
Crazy jump. You remember what was it? Was Shane and his buddies, the Mean Street Posse. It was like these three generic looking preppy rich dudes.
Was it Green Street or Main Street?
Green Street? I can't remember.
But yeah,
it was just these three like
cardigans around and stuff.
That was crazy.
I'm trying to think of other characters I would have forgotten now. But yeah, I was huge into Jericho when he came, and when they did the invasion, that's when I learned a lot more about other characters. Like a lot of the ECW guys, a lot of the WCW. Like I didn't know who Booker T was,
really,
and stuff like that.
I like Booker, man, back in WCW. When he broke off from his brother Stevie Ray, is when he really broke out as a single star.
There was a lot of like big names I just thought they weren't entertaining to watch. Like their moves, like for me, the people that I liked were people who had good moves and had a lot of them, like Jeff Hardy and Shawn Michaels was pretty good.
Yeah,
he's pretty talented. He could do a lot, but a lot of them just would do the basic slap to the chest, and then they might be
the Ric Flair,
DDT. Anyone can do a DDT, so.
But I remember when they first did like the WCW invasion, I was like so upset because I was such a huge fan of WCW.
So
and like some of the biggest names like Sting, he didn't come over.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And I was like looking forward to like dream matches like Sting versus Undertaker, and it just never happened.
Because I went over and watched one. Everyone was obviously saying how cool Sting was, and obviously Sting looks super cool. But when I watched Sting, he's not that. It wasn't that much of an entertaining. He was an entertaining character. You know what I mean? But to me, his wrestling wasn't quite there.
He's
Undertaker.
Sting is still doing it, man. He's in AEW now.
That's crazy. And I'd imagine now that he's so old, he can probably do even less than what he used to be able to do. So
I don't know, and he's still pretty good. He can't take some of the bumps he used to take because he did try a WWE run, and he fought Triple H at a WrestleMania, And they were like building him up. But for whatever reason, they had Triple H go over and win over Sting, which made no sense in the story other than, I guess, just him not
Putting
wanting
him
to
in
do
his
the job.
place. Putting him in his
Yeah.
place.
And then a few months later, they lined him up to fight Seth Rollins for the title. And Seth did this move called the buckle bomb, where he power bombs him into the ring post. And Sting was way too old to be taking a bump like that. You could tell from the way he landed, he messed his neck up. And that was like the end of Sting in WCW. But now he's in AEW, and he's killing it, man.
I've been to a few local, like I know a few people who are wrestlers, just on obviously local shows and stuff. So I've been to a few small local shows where they just literally hold it in like a little tiny hall and stuff like that. And a friend of mine who I met through like back in my band days, he was a wrestler, and he put on an event down here. And I remember in the main event, the guy legitimately got knocked out. And it was funny because we're watching, and you know how they do the stomps in the corner when they're stomping on him and they're grabbing off the rope? He was doing that to the guy. And it was this like skinny punk dude. It was like this skinny dude with a big mohawk. And the other guy was this thick Samoan dude who kind of looked like Rhino, right? So the skinny punk dude is doing the stomping thing in the corner. And I was like, man, he's connecting on a lot of these, right? So when they got back up, the Samoan dude like went to clothesline him, and he hit him so freaking hard, right? And you could tell that I was like, oh, they messed up here, because the guy was out cold, the punk dude, and you could tell that like the other dude kind of went down close, and you could see him kind of whispering kind of thing, and then the ref kind of got down as well, and they're kind of whispering to each other. And then the guy who'd been knocked out, he just started moaning. He's like it was serious. So everyone in the room was just like dead quiet. And I remember hearing someone be like, please tell me you guys have paramedics.
Oh, God.
And then they had to like literally end the match by KO. And they dragged him out of the ring. And that guy was fully gone. And I had to message my friend after the event. I was like, hey, man, is that guy okay? And they're like, yeah, he's okay. He's in hospital, but he's okay now.
Yeah. I've seen a few like actual injuries happen in the ring watching matches. Like, I don't know if you remember Sid Vicious, Psycho Sid.
Yeah.
You know how big he is.
Yeah.
And he tried to do a move where he jumped off the top rope for a big boot. So he only had one leg on the ground when he landed. And his leg just snapped into like a twig, man. You could see it just flopping there, broke as could be.
It's messed up.
Brutal.
Yeah. Remember
big dudes shouldn't be jumping off the top rope.
Remember the movie Ready to Rumble?
Yeah, with David Arquette.
Wrestling's not fake.
had actually had Macho Man in it for like a dream sequence thing. Yeah, ton of dudes. DDP was in there, man. I think Sting, he was in it. That was Sting, when he was doing the whole crow thing.
Yeah. What, does he not do that? Isn't he still do that? Has he changed again?
Yeah.
It's a good look. It's a good look.
For a while in TNA, he was like just having crazy fun with his character, and he actually did a rendition of Joker. So he was like Joker Sting in TNA. That was hilarious, man.
Yeah, TNA. I remember TNA, and I think I was still kind of into wrestling. I did watch a little bit of it, but I can't remember. I remember they had a lot of hot babes in it.
Yeah, I think they changed the name to Impact now. They're trying to be a more
that's right, because TNA was owned by Jeff Jarrett. Is that his name?
I think he had stock in it, a lot of stock in it. I don't know if he like actually owned the company, but he was like one of the founding members, I think.
So how long has AEW been around?
Oh, God, it's been, I want to say maybe 2 years now.
Oh, that's all.
I think so. Maybe a little more.
I thought there used to be another promotion which sounded similar, and they were kind of like connected to WWE in a way. Like you have a lot of guys like who'd go in there first and then come to WWE, and in the bigger names, maybe if they went away for injury, they'd kind of warm up there before coming back.
Well, what was it called? I think it was called FCW or FTW or something. It was like a developmental stage for WWE,
Yeah.
and that morphed into NXT.
Okay. NXT, isn't that a
Yeah.
group?
No, it's like a whole like brand now.
Oh.
They started out as like a reality show, and then it's like its own brand. And for a while, it was killer, man. Because Paul Levesque, Triple H, Vince was letting him like have full creative control over NXT, and they were bringing in guys from the Indies like Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, Adam Cole came in, Kevin Owens came in there, and they were just crushing it, man. Pete Dunne, some of the best like wrestlers today. But now like Vince came in and took over that, and it's just not as good. Because Vince, he's all about the big dude. Whether they got talent or not, if they're jacked up, he's going to push them. And people like the smaller guys like Pete Dunne, Gargano, these are guys that I feel could carry the company as world champion right now. But they're just never going to get that push because they're not like jacked up looking steroid users.
See, that's the thing, man. I feel like I'm surprised with that because, again, I feel like a lot of people who really like the whole, I guess, athletic side of it, they want to see wrestlers who can do good. Like, you know, the stars are made when they're a heel, but they still manage to get people to love them even though they're a heel.
Yep.
That's when they become superstars. Like, because Stone Cold was a heel, wasn't he? And then he made that big speech at King of the Ring or whatever.
King of the Ring, yeah.
Guys like Eddie Guerrero was a heel, and then everyone just loved him because he was funny.
Yeah, the whole lie, cheat, steal thing,
Kurt
where he'd
Angle,
like hit the ring with a chair and then throw it to his opponent and lay down, and the ref would turn around. That was so good, man.
Kurt Angle was another one. Like, it was cool to make fun of him, but he was so good, Kurt Angle.
Yeah. If it wasn't for that neck injury he had, he could probably still be doing it.
He's got that weird thing where he's got one arm heaps smaller than the other. I think that's because of his he's got some neck because of his neck injury.
Yeah, he actually broke a disc in his neck one time.
Yeah, insanity. What other good matches were there, man? Back in the day, Elimination Chamber. Remember that stuff?
Yeah, I remember when that first came in, man. That blew my mind.
That was the best.
Like, how do you get ready to fall on a steel grate? Freaking RVD, like 5-star frog splashing from the 20-foot pod. Like, that's got to, like, no, it's like no wonder so many of them get hooked on like pain pills and stuff.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, what about like when Mankind, when you get thrown off the top of the steel cage to the table?
Yeah.
Like, that's still, just like,
and dude got up and climbed the cage again just to get slammed through it. And funny story with that. Yeah. Remember when he went back up and Undertaker chokeslammed him through the top of the cage?
Oh yeah, that's when he falls through.
Yeah, that wasn't supposed to cave in.
Oh really?
But because that was like the first Hell in a Cell, they didn't have enough like braces up there, so that was like an unscripted moment. The top of the cage wasn't supposed to fall in, so the chair that he fell on ended up smacking him in the face on the way down. And when the camera cut to him, his tooth was pushed through a hole in his upper lip. And they like quickly cut away to another shot.
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, because you can't practice, like, it's not like they can practice throwing you off the top of the cage to a table, right? Yeah. It's just like, this is what we're going to do.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens. What if you missed the table? Because back then, the audience was like right there, like this far from the announce tables.
Yeah, but
also, that barrier wall and then the audience.
When they had the cage there, the table wasn't very far from the cage.
Yeah.
So it would have just been like, just fall off it. You should be okay. Don't jump, because you'll end up in the
get
crowd.
A little momentum and just like fall on somebody's head out in the audience.
Break your back on the fence.
Yeah. What
are the crazy kind of matches were there, though?
I don't know if you remember a lot of people don't talk about it because of what happened with his family and stuff. But you know, Chris Benoit.
Yeah.
How he ended up killing his family.
Yeah, that's
But
crazy.
some of the matches he used to have was insane.
Yeah, he
It's
had his
crazy.
moment.
Yeah.
I remember he had his little push.
I know I watched a whole like documentary on that, his family and everything that happened, and they said his autopsy, because he had so many head injuries and brain damage and stuff from that flying headbutt stuff he used to do. They said his autopsy, he had the mind of an 80-year-old Alzheimer's patient. So that was crazy.
That wasn't a WWE doco, was it?
I think it was called Dark Side of the Ring.
Because those WWE docos were all pretty good. Like I remember the Eddie Guerrero one and stuff.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine them wanting anything to do with that.
No.
Like I feel like they just kind of wiped it from history or tried to wipe it.
Yeah, yeah, they took like, even when they had the WWE Network where you could stream all the stuff, they still like showed his matches, but they took his name off the card. They didn't promote anything, which made it hard because guys like Randy Orton, he won his first world heavyweight title from Benoit, and he was the youngest world heavyweight champion, I think, at 23 at the time when Orton won it. So they like had to strict that from the record books. It was just a crazy situation, man.
So I exited. Like Randy Orton was still kind of new when I had already on my way out. So when I stopped watching, John Cena was kind of new, and it was before he took up his whole
the Dr. Thugonomics thing.
Yeah, Thugonomics.
Yeah.
Like that happened just like the Thugonomics thing happened something just as I kind of left. But I remember him just coming in his spandex and things.
Oh yeah, I think they tried to call him Prototype or something. That was supposed to be his name for a while. It was crazy. So did you see were you still around when Batista came in? Because he came
I definitely saw Batista.
It was like a year or two later, I think, after Orton debuted, and they all joined.
Undefeated for a long time.
Yeah, but it's crazy when they first brought him in, they didn't know what to do with him. They teamed him up with Devon Dudley because Bubba Ray wasn't there at the time, so he was just like floundering around, doing just like Devon's bodyguard.
Batista came around not long after Brock, because I remember a lot of people were saying if Brock didn't come along, then Batista probably would have been Brock, like like the same.
Yeah, I think so. But it was crazy because they just didn't know what to do with him at first, and then they put him with because originally Mark Jindrak, one of the WCW boys that came over, he was originally going to be the member in Evolution, and then they decided to put Batista in that role with Flair, Orton, and Triple H.
See, I don't remember that era. I think I still was watching a little bit then, but I just don't have the memory for it. Like they're not the one. That's not the years that I was watching it just nonstop sort of thing. So,
it's like so much useless wrestling knowledge from the 90s.
I used to I probably lost a lot of it now, but go back another 10 years ago or something, I probably still would have had a lot more memories in my head of it. Like, did you ever watch any of the Japanese stuff?
A little here and there,
like with Terry Funk and like where they'd like set things on fire, like they'd set a piece of wood on fire, put thumbtacks on it, and
like the death matches, those were crazy. That's what tripped me out about Mankind, because he would do the thumbtack thing. He would like put them all out in the ring,
and then they'd be stuck to him.
And he actually got a piece of his ear ripped off. It was funny enough, I think it was a regular match. He just got, you know how they throw him over the top rope? He got tangled in the rope, and his head got in between it, and it twisted, and it ripped part of his ear off. So the injuries that dude had and kept going was wild.
And that's weird because, like, I think I saw Stay Puft met him recently. I don't know if that was recent, but I saw him posted on Instagram. It's just weird because he just looked like someone now who just is nobody. You know what I mean?
Oh, Mick.
Yeah.
Mick Foley. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I don't know if you know it, but he does. He grows his beard out, and he plays like Santa Claus at the malls and stuff now.
Santa Claus. Oh, are you serious?
Yeah, but he loves to, like every year he grows his beard out and he plays Santa Claus in malls and things.
Does he dye his beard white?
I think it's naturally gray now.
Yeah, he was a legend there. Did you ever watch that documentary, Wrestling with Shadows?
I don't know if I ever saw the whole thing, but that was
It
the
about
Owen
Bret
Hart thing, right?
and how he got screwed by
Yeah.
the WWE, because that was pretty full
Yeah.
on.
The whole like Montreal screw job.
Yeah,
That was like I think that was like the first like unscripted thing that happened in like wrestling that was actually on TV.
he spat
And
on
then
Vince.
yeah, what's bad is he went to WCW, and at that time WCW was floundering so bad they didn't know what to do with him. They didn't use him properly, and then he ended up having to quit because of a concussion in a match with Goldberg, who tried a super kick for some reason and it actually connected and gave Bret a concussion. And that was like the end of his wrestling career. So it's a shame, man.
Yeah, a lot of that happens, I think. So there was a video I saw recently of Brock, and he was wrestling one of the other massive dudes who I don't know. But like I think he must have hit Brock too hard or something like that in a move, and then Brock like legit punched him. Like,
Oh
he went
yeah,
to-
I remember when that happened. That was
Yeah.
Braun Strowman. Braun hit him with the knee, and it really connected. It looked like, and Brock just stood up, went UFC, and punched him in the side of the head as hard as he could. Brock is like so unpredictable because after his football thing failed, you know, he went to UFC. So then when he came back to WWE, he was just like such an unsafe worker because you'd never know when he would really snap and like try to kill somebody.
Yeah, I think people would have probably been intimidated by him as well because he's like a real fighter.
Yeah.
But
I remember like back in the day when Brock started, he was so good in the ring and he had so much more skill and he knew how to like kind of protect his opponent. And then when he came back, he was just like busting dudes open for real. I think they call it making them bleed the hard way when they do it for real.
So when he did, so you know how he came back to WWE and then he did that one comeback match in UFC?
Yeah.
And he got so small for that. He obviously got off the roids.
Yeah.
And because I saw him on WWE one day and I was like, why does his arms look so small? He looks tiny.
I think he left, I think, to start with because of drug tests and stuff. I think that's why he originally left the UFC. They were cracking down on that.
No, it's because he got his ass kicked. He started getting his last two fights. He got smashed.
Really?
Yeah, and also
I've actually never seen him fight in WWE and UFC.
So he came out. He was pretty impressive. So like people don't give him credit because he did beat Randy Couture, who was like a legit champion, and he dropped him with a punch. So I mean, Brock can probably wrestle anyone to the ground, but in his last two fights, so when he lost the belt, he just got beat up because his hands weren't very good. So he got just smashed by Cain Velasquez. And then in his last fight, he'd come back after he had that diverculitis or something, and he had like 12 inches of his colon removed.
That was crazy.
And then and then after that, he was just done. He was like, yeah, I can't do this anymore.
Have you seen Brock now? The recent photos?
I haven't seen him for a while, no.
Yeah. He's on leave right now, but I think he's coming back for the Rumble. But he had a match at Crown Jewel with Roman Reigns, and he's got like long hair on top with a ponytail, but the rest is shaved, and he's got like this lumberjack-looking beard.
I have seen a picture of that at least. Yes, I definitely saw that somewhere. I don't think it was a good look.
Crazy looking man. But he's like on suspension right now, which means they can't pay him until Royal Rumble.
Have you seen photos of Brock Lesnar when he was like a teenager?
Yeah, I actually did. They did a whole like retrospect of WrestleMania 19 where they showed like photos of the wrestlers as younger kids, and he was just not what I expected to see. Because you know when he first came in, his freaking neck muscles were bigger than my whole arm. You looking it up?
Yeah, he was just. He looks so weird. Look how weird he looks. Look at his neck.
Yeah, yeah. Just like
That's him in college.
that looks like a create a wrestler when the graphics were bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man. But yeah, Brock.
Yeah.
So who was your favorite wrestlers? You said Randy Savage. Did you say earlier?
Yeah, Savage. Well, like I said, the first one I saw was like Sting and Flair, and then a couple years later, I went back and started watching the older tapes, and I saw Randy Savage, and just like that dude's like the man to me. I liked him more than any other wrestler at the time.
Because of his
When
character,
I
you
felt
mean?
Savage,
Or?
yeah, because he was in WCW during the whole like NWO thing when Hogan dropped the leg on him, and then like a few years later, they split up the NWO into factions. They had the Wolfpack and the regular, and Savage went to the Wolfpack, and he like changed his whole gimmick from like the cowboy hat and the tassels and that was like where I first saw Randy Savage. Then I went back and started watching the older stuff, his WWF run. Remember when he run the King of the Ring? He changed his name for a while from the Macho Man to the Macho King. That was fun, man. That was a good run.
What about in later years though?
Like now, some of my favorites are
well, Randy Savage. He was like, well, you're talking like the early 90s, yeah.
yeah, like well, because he wrestled all the way up until I think
actually,
when WCW got bought out, he didn't go back to WWF. He took a little bit of time off, and then he actually showed up in TNA for a while, but he never did go back to the WWF.
I forget because I don't know much about. I guess I only know of him from the WWF. I didn't really see a lot of WCW, so.
But I can't remember what year it was, but you know he died in that car crash. That was brutal.
There was all these rumors that Ultimate Warrior died in a car accident as well, and it was always just rumors.
Yeah, I don't know because he lived up until a couple years ago. I think he passed away from a heart attack a couple years ago.
Well, yeah, because I think no one just had heard about him for so long, and then all of a sudden he showed up at the Bloody Hall of Fame or something like that.
Yeah, I remember they tried to do a fake version of Warrior. WCW did for a little while, and then the real dude actually showed up and had a small run. But they said he was so hard to work with, he never like stayed with the company very long.
Yeah, he was a nut job, wasn't he?
Yeah,
like his little promos that he would cut.
Oh, his promos were crazy, man.
What did
you had him a live mic? You never know what you're gonna hear. He was just out there.
So who's like these days?
Currently, AJ Styles, he's killing it, man.
He's been around. He's been around for a long time.
Oh yeah, he's been around.
He was in like small promotions when I was watching.
Yeah, but he's had a couple runs as WWE champion, but now he's in a tag team, which I don't know why they're not letting him do a singles run again because he could definitely still go. Johnny Gargano, Pete Dunne, those guys were killing it. I actually haven't seen a match with them in a while ever since Vince took over creative control of NXT. But those are some guys that, if Vince would let them, could be the future face of the company. But they'll probably end up going to AEW like Adam Cole did and Daniel Bryan.
Is there many? Because these are all just normal names. Are there many characters still that are like Undertaker? Like, is there many of those characters?
Not many, man. A lot of people are just using names. I mean, they're not their real name. You know, CM Punk, his real name is actually Phil Brooks, so he uses CM Punk. So there's still like there's still a lot. But Daniel Bryan, his actual real name is Bryan Danielson,
Yes,
which
yes,
is
I
what
did
he's
hear
going
that.
by in AEW now.
I think Mark was telling me that.
Yeah. So when he came to WWE, they just kind of flipped the name and made him Daniel Bryan.
What we haven't touched on this topic, but what about who are some of your favorite wrestling babes?
Oh God! Back in the day, oh God, Stacy Keibler when she first came to
Stacey Keibler.
WWE,
You
those
got legs.
legs. Oh, she was like it for me, man. I
Yeah,
love Stacy Keibler.
because she came from. Was she
Yeah,
WCW?
she was Miss Hancock in
Yeah,
WCW.
I didn't know of her until she came to WWE, and then I
Yeah.
think I found out more about her in
But I
previous.
remember in one of the earlier wrestling games on PS2, I can't remember which one, but they would do these video packages with the babes, and Stacy had one of them with the legs and the bikini on the beach. I'm like, I can't believe this is in a video game. I love it, man. But Stacy was like a huge crush of mine back in the day.
I'm trying to even think. Like I remember Trish Stratus. I remember
Yeah,
she was
Trish, she was good.
big. Lita. I used to like
Lita.
Lita.
Oh God, I love Lita.
Lita and Jeff
So
Hardy.
good.
So that was like a real thing as well, because she was going out with Matt Hardy, and didn't she like bang Edge or something like that? And that
Yeah,
caused some
yeah.
real.
Because they were on the road traveling so much together. And I didn't know what happened at first because they just released Matt Hardy, like legit fired him. And he actually showed up. He bought a ticket to one of the shows and actually showed up unscripted and tried to jump the barrier and attack Edge. And they was using like their real names, Adam Copeland. That's Edge's real name. And eventually, after he got calmed down, they actually made that part of the storyline and they hired him back. But at first, he really wanted to kill. He really wanted to kill him, man.
Oh, Jesus.
But Matt ended up meeting. I think her name was Rebby or something, and they had a whole family together in real life.
I caught some. So there's like a sports streaming app that we have used here called KO, and
Yeah.
I just use my friend's account. But one night I want to put something on TV. And I went on the app, and there was WWE's on there. I was like, oh, I haven't watched WWE in forever. I should put that on. And there was this girl who like had this like whole Harley Quinn kind of persona. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Was her name
She was
Daphne?
I can't remember, but she was fully just pretending to be Harley Quinn this whole thing. And she's like tiny. She's this tiny blonde chick.
Oh, you must Alexa Bliss.
Yeah, that sounds like it.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Yeah. She's done all kind of cool stuff over the years, man. She because she's into like horror films and stuff real life. She did like a Freddy Krueger wrestling gear homage, a Child's Play one. Really cool.
And what's that chick whose her last name's Flair? Something Flair?
Oh, Charlotte Flair? Yeah,
She
that's
really
actually
is?
Ric Flair's daughter.
Is that real? So she really is?
Yeah, yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure I asked someone once, and they were like, "Yeah, I doubt it." I was like,
Yeah.
It for real?"
In fact, they showed old clips of her like in the audience watching him wrestle on WCW back in the day, because he had a couple kids. One of their kids, I believe his name was Reed, committed suicide in real life, and Flair stepped away from the business for a while after that. And then I think that he showed up again later in WWF again. But his other son, David Flair, he wrestled a little for WCW. And he really didn't have much talent, so he didn't last. And Charlotte Flair, I think she's won the women's title close to 13 or 14 times now.
That's the funniest thing, like how that's a stat, like how they're multi-time champions,
Yeah.
but some of them have won the belt like 20 times and stuff like that.
It's funny though, because I think she's trying to get released because her husband, I don't know if her husband yet, but her fiance was a wrestler for WWE, and he got let go and he went to AEW. So she's been doing like out of character stuff in the ring. I think she's trying to actually get fired so she can go over to the other company. Because she's been doing a lot of like unscripted stuff lately and getting in trouble.
That's weird. What about Ronda Rousey? Is she still doing it?
No, I think she had a baby in real
Yeah,
life.
she did. That's right. She did have a baby, right?
But she was in it for like a whole year almost.
I remember she sucked because she lost her match at WrestleMania, and she started saying all that stuff like, "Oh, how wrestling's all scripted and stuff." I was like,
"Yeah,
are you serious? You can't even take. Like, I can understand when you're being a sore loser. Like, it's wrestling." It's
Ronda, I think, is like she seems to take stuff real personal. Because I remember when she lost that fight to Holly Holm, they talked about how she got real depressed for a long time.
Yeah, because you know why?
So when when the fans like first turned on her, because when she first came in, they were all like popping. But when they first turned on her, I think she took it like personal. She didn't understand the whole like heel face gimmick. I don't think.
I was at that UFC event when she lost to Holly Holm.
Yeah,
and everyone there was a Ronda Rousey fan except for me and my mate who I went with. So literally everyone's cheering for Ronda, and me and my mate both had money on Holly Holm to win.
Yeah.
So as soon as she got the knockout, everyone went dead silent. Me and my friend were like, yes, yes, yes. And literally everybody around us was silent. I won like $300 something on that.
Nice, man.
It was awesome.
See, I don't know if I was a bettor, I don't think I would have bet against her. So I probably would have lost.
Nah, because I knew that so Holly Holm is like a professional boxer and is really good striking. And Ronda Rousey doesn't like getting hit. So the reason Ronda Rousey some people don't like her is because when she had this big rivalry with Miesha Tate, at the end of their fight, Miesha Tate went to shake her hand. Because, a lot of them have beef. And after the fight, they all hug and they, try to squash the beef. So Miesha Tate went to shake her hand, and Ronda just snubbed her and like literally turned away from her.
I didn't know that.
But that didn't really affect her too much.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people might not have known that. And then she became this big star because she was this female fighter. So, and then Holly Holm, kicked her in the head. And then her fight after that, when she disappeared for a while, she got absolutely smashed, like embarrassed. Like it looked like I was like, does she even know how to fight? Like that's how bad she got humiliated in the fight after that. Yeah. And then she retired.
Yeah. Once you get like shaken up and you get scared, UFC is not the place for you, man.
I think confidence and momentum is a big thing. So a lot of the guys, they go on this massive win streak and they can beat like really good guys. But a lot of those people I've seen, once they lose their first fight or that streak gets broken, they don't have that mentality anymore that they're invincible. Yeah. So the next fight, they're always in there. I think it just gets in the head. So yeah, I've seen it a lot. But we're close to the hour, mate. So maybe we should wrap up. But what's your wrestling name, mate? Is it just SuperRus 9000 or?
When I used to really want to be a wrestler, and I would always get the games and create my character in the game.
Yep.
I would always name my character the Destroyer. And I had this image that I would just go in and like destroy the other competitors with their own finishing moves. I had this whole gimmick in my head.
Has that been done? I feel like because there was a while during the invasion thing, especially there was a while where everyone would steal each other's finishing moves.
Yeah,
I remember.
That was like a big thing then when that first started happening. Because for years the wrestlers were so protective of their moves. They didn't like it when they would like retire and another wrestler would start using it.
What was your favorite finishing move?
Oh God. I think when because I was a huge submission guy and Sting used to use the Scorpion Deathlock, which was basically just a sharpshooter.
Mm-hmm.
But like actual like finishing move when Undertaker used to do the last ride power bomb.
Oh, yeah.
We would pick him up. This was during his biker thing when he left the Deadman persona. He would pick him up for a power bomb. I remember the first time I saw him do it. Then he lifted him up even freaking higher and slammed. I love that move, man.
That's a weird thing though that he went biker for a while because I still watched it then, and then to go back, it's just like what?
Yeah. But they didn't just like switch automatically. When he went back, he had a buried alive match with Kane. And at the time, Kane had his mask off, and he was talking about how he missed his brother, the Monster. And they had this whole build up. And Undertaker actually lost the buried alive match. So it was like burying that gimmick. And then at WrestleMania, 3 or 4 months later, Taker had grew his hair back out a little bit. And Kane was out in the ring. And they old school Undertaker gong hit. And like came back out in the old like dead man gimmick. That was huge, man. That gave me chills when I saw it.
So what's the name of your finishing move, mate?
Oh man, all the good names are taken, man.
The 9,000 bomb.
Yeah, that would be good.
I think I'll make mine the Simpleplex.
Yeah, that's a good one. That'd be like kind of like remember when Kurt Hennig used to do the Perfect Plex?
Yes.
We'd like underhook the leg and like somehow like hold him in a pinning position.
Yeah, I like that. That was a good move.
Yeah, like all the good names are taken though, like the Pedigree, the Stone Cold Stunner, the RKO.
Well, the stunner was my favorite move, the short finishing move, because I like just the setup with the kick because it can kind of come from anywhere. So you set once you hit the kick, then he's got the move. And I was like, yeah, that was my
Did you see like the matches he did with The Rock and stuff? The Rock would sell the stunner so good every time he got hit with it. He would always like almost do a handstand and flip backwards every time he got hit with the stunner.
Yeah. But I remember he did it to Stone Cold once. I think Stone Cold had the beer, and then like beer like went flying everywhere. Yeah. But yeah,
that was such a good rivalry, man.
I do remember the Rock. I think the video game used that Rock, like how he got stunned as the video game finish. Like they go sort of
they put that in the game.
Yeah.
Awesome. That was awesome, man.
We didn't get to talk about the game, but maybe we should wrap it up, man, because I'm gonna have to get ready
maybe
for work soon.
Maybe we can go 1 week where we just do like a whole video game special. Talk about wrestling games and all kind of other games too. Because I'm sure we could talk about that for an hour too.
And I'm sick of finding comic books. So,
so what do you think? Next week video game special?
All right. That sounds good, mate. Yeah, I like it. See, Russ, the more you do this, you're getting better. You get the ideas. See, my ideas are stale.
Oh, man, ideas.
They're the future.
Ooh, yeah.
All right.
You got anything coming up on your channel you want to talk about right quick?
I did my weekly haul last night. I'm going to hopefully film my drawing for my giveaway video, which is well overdue.
All right.
So draw the winner. I've got another episode with Mark coming out probably the weekend, and all the usual stuff. And I'll be back here next week. Same Rus time. Oh, actually, I'll have to confirm the time because I don't know my Rus is yet.
I know both of us because you had daylight savings a few weeks ago, didn't you? And then I had it.
Yeah. So now it's random. So it's tough.
Yeah. Well, I don't really have anything coming up now because I finished my going through my comic book collection series. That was like my secondary live stream, so I'm going to have to come up with something else pretty soon to get that second live stream in.
You'll figure something out, mate.
All right. Peace, everybody. This is for you, Gray Man. Nighty night from 9,000.